Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Janna.
And I'm Jyotsna Kawan. On the show today marks 1 week since a terror attack in Delhi that left 10 people dead. India's National Investigation Agency has made a breakthrough as they have arrested a close aide of the alleged suicide bomber, Dr. Umar Nabi. We'll bring you all the latest on that on the show.
Also on World DNA, we shift focus to Bangladesh. Bangladesh is on edge. There are reports of unrest in Dhaka ahead of the verdict against ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who could receive a death penalty as she faces charges of crimes against humanity for last year's deadly July uprising. We'll bring you the latest on that. Let's start with the headlines. This is World DNA.
Sana Faster Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina issues big warning ahead of court verdict, says she will be sentenced to death.
National Investigation Agency NIA arrests accomplice of the alleged Delhi suicide bomber Umar Nabi from the national capital. This is a week after the blast, which claimed 10 lives.
Israeli Defense Forces claim it has killed 3 Hezbollah operatives, destroyed 5 of the group's sites in a series of operations in Lebanon over the week.
Chilean President Gabriel Boric congratulates leftist former Labour Minister Jeanette Jarrah and far-right leader Jose Antonio as they advance to a December 14th runoff that will determine the country's next leader.
We may be having some discussions with Maduro.
U.S. President Donald Trump hints at possible talks with Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro after the State Department said it will label the cartel it alleged Maduro runs as a foreign terrorist organization.
Nothing to do with it. President Trump has clean hands. He's not worried about it. I talk to him all the time. He has nothing to do with this.
U.S. Speaker Mike Johnson says he believes President Donald Trump has nothing to hide as lawmakers seek to force the release of files related to the sex trafficking investigation into Jeffrey Epstein.
Welsh town in UK's Monmouth flooded following heavy rains triggered by Storm Claudia.
The number of US-listed domestic companies has fallen below 4,000 this year, the lowest since 2020. Since 2022, this count has dropped by 1,800 or 31%. At this pace, the number of firms trading could decline to the lowest on record as early as next year.
All those responsible will be brought to justice.
It has been 1 week since a blast near Red Fort in capital Delhi.
And the National Investigation Agency has arrested a Kashmir resident who had conspired with the alleged suicide bomber to carry out the terror attack which claimed 10 lives and left 32 others injured. The agency arrested Amir Rashid Ali, in whose name the car, we're speaking about the Hyundai i20, which was involved in the attack, it was registered in Ali's name. He was arrested from Delhi a day after the NIA launched a massive search operation.
In a statement, the NIA said its investigations revealed that the accused who is a resident of Sambura Pampor in Jammu and Kashmir, had conspired with the alleged suicide bomber, Umar an-Nabi, to unleash the terror attack.
Now, as per the anti-terror agency, Amir had come to Delhi to facilitate the purchase of the car, which was eventually used as a vehicle-borne IED, improvised explosive device, to trigger the blast.
Now, NIA has forensically established the identity of the deceased driver of the vehicle-borne IED as Umar an-Nabi, a resident of Pulwama district and assistant professor in General Medicine Department in the Al-Falah University at Faridabad.
The anti-terror agency has also seized another vehicle belonging to Nabi, an eco-sport. The vehicle is being examined for evidence in the case in which NIA has so far examined 73 witnesses, including those who were injured in the blast. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has stated that the US isn't ready for equal and fair negotiations with Iran.
He has cited Washington's current approach as a barrier. Now, Araghchi emphasized that Iran is open to diplomacy but will not engage in negotiations meant to dictate terms. Now, this statement of him comes after U.S. President Donald Trump hinted at potential discussions last week.
The current approach of the U.S. government does not in any way indicate a readiness for equal and fair negotiations to achieve mutual benefits. What we have witnessed from the Americans so far has in fact been an attempt to dictate their own demands, completely maximal and excessive demands. In the face of such demands, we do not see an opportunity for dialogue. Otherwise, we were ready for dialogue, and we always are, and we will continue to be, but we will never participate in negotiations that are intended to dictate.
Iran's foreign minister also announced that Tehran is no longer enriching uranium anywhere in the country, citing the damage to its enrichment facilities from the US and Israel's bombing in the month of June as the reason. He stressed that Iran's right to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes is undeniable and inalienable, and that the country will continue to exercise this right.
Washington and Tehran have been at odds over Iran's nuclear program, with US, its European allies, and Israel accusing Iran of using it as a cover for developing nuclear weapons. However, Iran insists that its program is for peaceful purposes.
There is no undeclared nuclear enrichment facility in Iran. All of our facilities are under the safeguard and monitoring of the agency. There is no enrichment right now because our enrichment facilities have been attacked. And our message is clear. Iran's right for enrichment, for peaceful use of nuclear technology, including enrichment, is undeniable. We have this right, and we continue to exercise that. And we hope that the international community, including the United States, recognize our rights.
Iran's nuclear chief, Mohammad Eslami, has questioned the need for UN inspectors to access the country's attacked nuclear facilities, referring to claims by the US and Israel that they destroyed Iran's nuclear sites. He asked what is left for them to come and inspect. Islami's comments come at a time when Tehran is under pressure by the UN nuclear watchdog to grant its inspectors access to the nuclear sites that came under Israel and US attack in June.
Now, Gaza has launched a major cleanup and rebuilding campaign with the support of the United Nations.
And this is after 2 years of war that has left entire neighborhoods flattened, more than 60 million tons of rubble scattered across the enclave. Residents are now returning to shattered streets, hoping to restore life to a city devastated by conflict and winter storms.
Now, Palestinian alongside UN agencies and local organizations have begun what they call "We Will Rebuild" campaign. Dozens of volunteers, engineers, and returning residents used shovels to clear debris while heavy trucks moved rubble from the main roads.
It is time for all of us, from all sectors, to stand united to put an end to this suffering, and to send a message to the world that this land holds what is worth living for, and that we are a people capable of creating life.
But for many families, daily life remains difficult. In central Gaza's Al Zawaida area, heavy winds and rain collapsed makeshift tents overnight. The remains of the soaked shelters. Children have nowhere else to go. Nearly 2 million displaced Palestinians are still living in tents or damaged buildings across the enclave.
Officials say the war has destroyed over 290,000 homes, 80% of public infrastructure, and left hospitals, schools, and sewage networks crippled. UN estimates suggest that clearing the rubble alone can take up to 3 years, even with continuous international support.
UNDP officials joined the cleanup drive. The agency is also preparing emergency plans for winter, including waste and water management, as overflowing sewage and damaged pipelines pose new health risks.
Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reiterated Israel's opposition to a Palestinian state, despite growing international pressure. Far-right ministers have demanded he reject any pathway to statehood.
We have not forgotten.
Our opposition to a Palestinian state in any territory west of the Jordan River, this opposition exists, is valid, and has not changed one bit. I have been rebuffing these attempts for decades, and I am doing it both against pressure from outside and against pressure from within. So I do not need affirmations, tweets, or lectures from anyone.
We will not falter. Kulchem habayta.
And Russian forces have claimed further gains in Ukraine's southeast as Kiev struggles to hold key positions in the Zaporizhia region.
Absolutely. Now, the Russian Defense Ministry said its troops has captured 2 villages, Rivnopilia and Mala Tokmachka, the latter located southeast of Zaporizhia city. Drone footage released by Moscow shows soldiers holding Russian flags near buildings in Rivnopilia, while the capture of Mala Tokmachka puts the southern town of Huliapol and Norikiv at risk of encirclement. Ukraine has not immediately commented on the advances. The Russian army says its gains come as Ukrainian forces, exhausted and outnumbered, try to defend positions further east around Pokrovsk as Moscow's full-scale offensive nears its 4th winter.
A Ukrainian drone strike has targeted a key oil terminal at Russia's largest Black Sea port, Novorossiysk, temporarily halting shipments. And according to industry sources, operations have now resumed. Analysts say that the attack is the most significant Ukrainian strike so far on Russia's main crude export infrastructure.
In energy news, Ukraine has secured U.S. supplied liquefied natural gas from Greece to cover its winter needs from December through March 2026. Now, the deal was signed between Greek gas company DEPA and Ukraine's Naftogaz during President Zelensky's visit to Athens. Zelensky has said that gas supplies from Greece will begin in January. During his visit to Greece, Zelensky also thanked U.S. President Donald Trump, noting that Ukraine will be able to receive natural gas both directly and via Greece.
Постачання газу розпочнеться вже в січні.
Gas supplies will begin in January, and it is important that our initial agreements will be realized in the first quarter. In addition to the agreement on the prompt supply of gas, there are also long-term agreements. There is also great gratitude to American companies, the Department of Energy, and the President of the United States, Donald Trump, for the fact that we will be able to receive natural gas not only from Greece, but also via Greece, because Greece has such a global infrastructure that we will be able to receive energy from the United States of America.
In other global news, disagreements between U.S. President Donald Trump and Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene have snowballed into a public feud.
And it signals a breakdown in relations between the U.S. president and his MAGA ally. On Friday, Trump called Greene wacky in a flurry of social media posts, adding that she should be unseated in next year's elections. On Saturday, he called her a traitor.
So, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not anyway, I mean, she is a very different thinking than I have. Something happened to her over the last period of a month or two where she changed, I think, politically. I think that her constituents aren't going to be happy. Already, I have people calling me. They want to challenge her to a race in her district in Georgia. And, you know, that's too bad. She's lost a wonderful conservative reputation. But when she says, don't go overseas, if I didn't go overseas, we might be in a war right now with China.
Now, following Trump's post, Marjorie Taylor Greene stated that she was being targeted by a wave of threats after the U.S. president lashed out at her on social media.
Sharing a post on social media, Greene said, I quote her here, aggressive rhetoric attacking me has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men who were radicalized by the same type of rhetoric being directed at me right now, and this time by the President of the United States. In past few days, Greene has questioned whether Trump was still putting America first and criticized his handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Greene is one of the only 4 House Republicans who joined Democrats in signing a petition calling for the release of the Epstein files last week. Greene says that Trump made efforts to stop other Republicans from voting in favor of this petition.
Now, the spat between Greene and Trump comes as the House is set to consider whether to release the files to the public, with Speaker Mike Johnson saying he would put the bill to a vote this coming week.
Known as the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the aim of the bill is to make the Justice Department release all unclassified records, documents, communications and investigative materials linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Former U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama has reopened the debate over gender and leadership in America.
Speaking with actor Tracy Ellis Ross at an event in New York, Obama said that the United States is still not ready for a woman president. The conversation popped up as she promoted her new book, The Look. It explores how fashion and politics shaped her years in the White House. When asked if her influence cleared the way for a future female president, Obama said that the U.S. still had a lot of growing up to do. Now, she added that many men in the United States still resist being led by a woman. Her comments quickly gained attention online and reignited the debate about gender and leadership in American politics.
Michelle Obama's remarks come almost a year after former U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris lost the 2024 presidential election to Donald Trump. Harris, the first woman ever to serve as vice president, fell short in her bid for the White House.
Now, Michelle Obama campaigned for Harris last year, raising alarm about what she described as a threat Trump poses to the country, particularly to women's health. Political data appears to back Obama's assessment about the U.S. not being ready for a female president. And according to research from the Pew Center, Trump gained ground among male voters in 2024, securing 55% of their support. That is up from 50% in 2020. The data shows a shift among men under 50, a group that supported Joe Biden in 2020, but swung towards Trump 4 years later.
Tensions are escalating sharply in East Asia at the center of the latest standoff, the disputed Senkaku Islands, controlled by Japan but claimed by China.
Beijing has sent Coast Guard vessels through the waters near the islands, intensifying a territorial dispute that has simmered for years. The Senkaku Islands are known as the Diaoyu Islands in China. Japan, which administers the island, has lodged strong concerns about.
This as Chinese ships and military drones were also spotted close to Yonaguni, which is Japan's westernmost island, just 110 kilometers from Taiwan. Taiwan's defense ministry says that they have detected 30 Chinese military aircraft, 7 Navy ships and 1 Coast Guard vessel around Taiwan over the past 24 hours. China says it was conducting a lawful rights enforcement patrol to safeguard national interests.
Now, meanwhile, China's Ministry of Education issued a study abroad alert for Japan. Beijing has warned Chinese nationals to carefully consider plans for studying in Japan. The ministry pointed to a recent rise in crimes against Chinese citizens in Tokyo.
The spat has been sparked by comments from Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Takichi. Just last week, Takichi made parliamentary remarks saying that any use of force by China against Taiwan could constitute a survival-threatening situation for Japan, implying possible Japanese intervention.
China reacted strongly, condemning Japan's statements as interference in its internal affairs and warning of severe consequences if Japan intervened militarily in Taiwan. The row over Taiwan has brought long-standing historical grievances and modern security concerns between the two neighbors to the forefront. And Japan's Sakurajima volcano roared back to life in Kyushu,
erupting 3 times overnight and blasting ash nearly 4.4 kilometers into the sky. The powerful activity forced the cancellation of about 30 flights at Kagoshima Airport. Sakurajima remains one of the most active and closely watched volcanoes. And in this next report, we look at the rising number of layoffs in Germany this year, especially in the German auto industry. Take a look.
Now it's time for a very short break on World DNA. Don't go anywhere. On our continuous coverage on the Delhi blast, we will come out with more news on the other side. The National Investigation Agency has arrested a Kashmir resident who had conspired with the suicide bomber to carry out the terror attack, which claimed 10 lives and left 32 others injured. We'll get you more on the other side.
The son and advisor of ousted Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said that the court will convict her and probably sentence her to death. We'll bring you the latest as the verdict is awaited in Bangladesh on Sheikh Hasina today.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RS's centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness. WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RS's centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Jyotsna. I'm Shivan. Let's start with the headlines.
Will be very severely sanctioned. We may add Iran to the formula, yeah.
U.S. President Donald Trump says Republicans are working on legislation that will impose sanctions on any country doing business with Russia, hints at Iran getting added to the list.
National Investigation Agency NIA arrests accomplice of alleged Delhi suicide bomber Omar Nabi from the national capital a week after the blast claimed at least 10 lives.
Son of former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina issues big warning ahead of court verdict, says she will be sentenced to death.
Israeli Defense Forces claim it has killed 3 Hezbollah operatives, destroyed 5 of the group's sites in a series of operations in Lebanon over the week.
Chilean President Gabriel Boric congratulates leftist former Labor Minister Janet Jara and far-right leader Jose Antonio as they advance to a December 14 runoff that will determine the country's next leader.
Nothing to do with it. President Trump has clean hands. He's not worried about it. I talk to him all the time. He has nothing to do with this.
U.S. Speaker Mike Johnson says he believes President Donald Trump has nothing to hide as lawmakers seek to force the release of files related to the sex trafficking investigation into Jeffrey Epstein.
Welsh town in UK's Monmouth flooded following heavy rains triggered by Storm Claudia.
In 2025, emerging stock markets have seen 10 consecutive monthly gains, the longest streak in 21 years. That trend has now surpassed the previous best of 8-month run seen in 2017. Emerging markets stocks are outpacing developing markets. It's been a week since the 10th of November, 1 week since the blast near the Red Fort in Delhi, and the National Investigation Agency has arrested a Kashmir resident now.
Now, this Kashmiri resident had conspired with a suicide bomber to carry out the terror attack, which claimed 10 lives and left 32 others injured. Now, the agency arrested Amir Rashid Ali, in whose name, the car, a Hyundai i20 involved in the attack, was registered. He was arrested from Delhi a day after the NIA launched a massive search operation.
In a statement, the NIA said that its investigations revealed that the accused, a resident of Sambura Pampor in Jammu and Kashmir, had conspired with the alleged suicide bomber Omar Nabi to unleash the terror attack. Now, as per the anti-terror agency, Amir had come to Delhi to facilitate the purchase of this car, which was eventually used as a vehicle-borne IED to trigger the blast.
The NIA has forensically established the identity of the deceased driver of the vehicle-borne IED as Umar Nabi, a resident of Pulwama district and assistant professor in General Medicine Department in Al Farai University at Faridabad.
The anti-terror agency has also seized another vehicle belonging to Nabi, an EcoSport. The vehicle is being examined for evidence in the case, in which NIA has so far examined 73 witnesses, including those injured in the blast.
And well, to discuss more, we are now being joined live by B.L. Vora. He is the former Director General of Police for Tripura and Manipur. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, Mr. Vora. Nomar's close aide and owner of the I-20 has now been arrested. Just how would you assess this? How big is this plot? We look at the arrests that have been so far been made from the universities. These are assistant professors. How big do you think this terror plot is?
It's very big. And I think further investigations will reveal many more links. This is very well planned. See, there are some special features of this particular incident, which is a wake-up call for India. First, Delhi has been attacked after a gap of 14 years, which is a long gap. So comparative peace we had. So perhaps they thought that agencies now are complacent, so why not strike now? It does happen at times, the complacency does get in. Now, the second feature in this is, the educated are getting in now being drawn in. Earlier, it was not so. Now, this is a very dangerous trend. So many doctors involved. Have you seen, people from Gujarat, from UP, from Haryana, from Kashmir, from all over. And this university is particularly under radar. And this lady, Dr. Shaheen, has been working for many years on this. Now, this is another dangerous feature. Third is, see, of course, security agencies did a great job. They had, of course, seen 2,900 kgs of explosives earlier on, as you know that. And it was a very big plan for 6th of December. They wanted to attack many cities simultaneously at the same time, avenging the Babri Masjid. But point is that so many plans, so many explosives, and even biological attacks were being planned now because fertilizers had been bought, cars were being, this was accidental fire, I'm sure, at the Red Fort. But before that, police had already done quite a bit of work. They were planning to kill 50,000 people. We were saved by 13. Unfortunate, but well, still a very splendid job done by them. Now, another striking feature is Turkey's involvement. They say their handler was in Turkey. Earlier, it was Pakistan always. Either Pakistan has shifted some people there so
Mr.
that
Vora.
Pakistan...
Yeah, Mr. Vora, allow me to come in there. Turkey, of course, from their end have completely distanced themselves from any kind of involvement in any terror plot emerging in India. That was the statement that came out. But if I were to just go back to the two things that you mentioned, you did mention some complacency setting into the security apparatus. And then you also mentioned that it was a great exercise when they were able to seize 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate, an inflammable material. I wanted to understand, of course, that seizure, and that was happening on the same day that blast also happened. Do you see this as an intelligence failure or an intelligence success?
No, it's not an intelligence failure at all. See, as I told you, already even in Kashmir also, the SSP there, brilliant SSP, he had already zeroed on people through a small poster. If you have gone through the details, already a lot of raids were being conducted, they were being planned. This was accidental, and in a way it was good that they were unmasked. Unfortunate is that we lost lives. So already agencies had worked out this. See, what happens is, agencies have to be success 100 times, terrorists have to be successful only once.
Understood.
In this case, they were successful 99 times. Fortunately, unfortunately, our system is such that the good work done by intelligence agencies doesn't come to limelight. India's agencies have been doing a splendid work. India has been kept safe for a long time. I'm sure it will continue. But let me also tell you, terrorism is going to be very long haul. It's not going to end anytime soon. Enemies of India will always start. And problem is they're not only from outside, they're from within also. And Turkey government, of course, will not be annoyed. Turkey will definitely say this. Which government will say that I am encouraging terrorists to go and create problems in other country? But the fact is that the person has been there. Now, whether he's a Pakistani or whether he's an original Turkey guy, we don't know. So of course, you do know on the bigger plane, Turkey has been supporting Pakistan and everything, including Kashmir also.
I hear you.
So I think this is a new angle and a challenging angle for us.
Mr. Vora, thanks so much for joining us here. And as you mentioned very correctly that the intelligence agencies can go right 99 times, but then a terror activity or a terrorist only needs to get it or get past once. And then that's what gets highlighted. But of course, the intelligence agencies, they remain unsung heroes. Thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast. That was B.L. Vora.
Thank you for inviting me.
And to discuss furthermore, we are now being joined by our correspondent Dhanjot Kaur, who has been on the ground. Dhanjot, thank you so much for joining us. You have been looking forward and you have been analyzing all this from the ground there. Could you tell us where you are right now? It's been a week since the blast. How are things on the ground?
Well, Jyotsna, as you rightly mentioned, it's been a week, but things are back to normal. It will definitely not be normal for the families who have lost their loved ones and those who've been injured. But when it comes to life and livelihood on the streets of Delhi, things are returning to normalcy. Just to give you a quick look of where I am right now, standing right at the site of the blast. To my right is gate number 1 of the Red Fort metro station, where the explosion, near which the explosion took place. And this entire area for the better part of last week has been completely barricaded. It was opened over the weekend to allow commuters to resume their normal routes, the normal areas, and allow access to this area back again. To my left is one of the gates of the Red Fort complex. Again, I think to which slowly and surely the visitors are being allowed back.
Dharam, can I request you to ask the camera person to pan around as you show us what's around you?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to ask my video journalist to quickly pan and show you towards my left, and you could see traffic moving. It's still early hours of the day, Monday morning hours are still kicking in. But yes, right across, that's the traffic light. This entire area had been completely fortified, Shivan. You could still see some single line of barricades to ensure that a lot of traffic does not congest in the area. But as you can see, traffic is flowing both ways. This had been completely blocked since Monday evening, November 10th, 6:52 p.m. when the blast occurred. But now things are back to normal. The metro station to my right is also functioning as per normal again. We do know that the investigative agencies have made a breakthrough in the case. There's so many people that have been detained, have been questioned, have been arrested. So clearly, as the investigation progresses, life here on the roads of Lal Killa are returning back to normal.
Yeah, and Dharam, of course, you've been there at the Al Falah University as well. We were reporting from there. You've been at the Red Fort on the day that blast took place, and a week later. A lot has happened in this past 1 week. If you can give us a sense of where the investigation has reached so far.
Well, Shivan, the NIA did put out an official statement last evening, and that's something that everyone has been waiting for. We've been hearing so much information from sources, so much unverified information that was doing the rounds that, did not have to be told to the public to avoid panic. But now the NIA, once it took over the case and started investigation, it has put out a statement saying they've arrested one key accomplice of the Dr. Umar Nabi, who was in the I-20 vehicle that exploded on the 10th of November. So he is clearly under investigation. He's being questioned to identify how widespread this entire nexus is, who are the other people involved in this entire conspiracy and this terror plot. There's also more than 73 witnesses that the NIA has detained and interrogated. Not all of them are suspects or linked to the case. It's important to clarify that. They've only been detained for questioning to try and understand how much they knew about the suspects, what kind of information they have about their whereabouts, their movement before the explosion took place, all things like that, to try and get to the bottom of this issue. But so far, that's where things stand. We do know that the NIA has confirmed the DNA found in the I-20 car is of Dr. Umar Nabi. So clearly a lot of more details that we've been discussing for the past week, they are now being confirmed slowly but surely.
Yes.
But the extent of this entire plot, that is something that's yet to be determined, that is still under probe. We do have agencies not just in Delhi but around in other states as well, cracking down to ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. But clearly it was a much wider nexus that is still under the scanner.
And that remains confirmed, Dharam. And as you had also mentioned, I'll just reiterate what you said, that, we're trying to only put out facts which have been declared by the agencies officially to our audiences to avoid any kind of panic. Because a lot of news has been coming around, but we're only putting out what has been confirmed, because that's where things actually stand. That was Dharam Jodh getting us the latest from the Red Fort, exactly standing at the spot where the blast took place on the 10th of November.
And we'll, of course, be covering that. Shifting our focus to Bangladesh, the son and advisor of ousted Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has said that the court will convict her and probably sentence her to death.
A Dhaka court is due to deliver a televised verdict that is expected to convict in absentia and convict Sheikh Hasina in absentia on charges of crimes against humanity for a deadly crackdown on the protests in 2024 in July. She denied wrongdoing and says that the case is politically motivated against her.
Hasina has lived in exile in New Delhi since fleeing Bangladesh in 2025. In conversation with Reuters, Sajid Wazid said that India was providing her full security and treating her like a head of state.
The situation in Bangladesh is tense ahead of this verdict. Widespread violence has erupted in various parts of the country on Sunday. Incidents of car arson, cocktail explosions and road blockades were reported across Bangladesh.
Hasina's Bangladesh Awami League has announced a two-day shutdown across the country that started on Sunday morning, disrupting normal life.
Since the interim government, led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, has banned the activities of the Awami League and its affiliated organizations, party leaders have been announcing programs through social media from undisclosed locations while actively campaigning online. US President Donald Trump cuts tariffs on food imports to address affordability concerns.
Affordability has become the hottest issue in the U.S. politics after this month's electoral victories for Democrats. Not to be outdone, Trump cuts tariffs on over 200 food items, including everyday staples such as coffee, beef, and bananas.
The rollback follows mounting political pressure over high grocery bills in the U.S. in response. Trump signed an executive order reversing tariffs on key food imports. While Trump has been engrossed in international affairs, tariffs and investments, voters have been concerned with the more immediate issue of rising prices. Grocery prices in the U.S. have hit a record high as the cost for a family of four rises to $1,030 per month. An NBC News poll released last week showed that 63% of all registered voters said that Trump had fallen short of their expectations. And this comes when the overall U.S. household debt has surged to a record high of $18.6 trillion. Mortgage debt has soared to an all-time high of over $13 trillion. Credit card debt is at a life high of $1.23 trillion. And student and auto loans have also spiked to an all-time high of over $1.6 trillion.
Now, rising debt and a surge in grocery costs forced Trump's hands to cut his beloved tariffs. That brings taco, or Trump always chickens out, headlines back to the fore. While coffee from Brazil, beef from Argentina, and bananas and other fruits from Latin and Central American countries made headlines, Indian exports also get huge relief from those duty cuts. Exemptions covering 254 products, including 229 agricultural items, account for significant exports to the U.S. A Reuters report quoting Ajay Sahai, Director General of the Federation of Indian Export Organizations, showed that the exemption announcement is set to benefit at least $2.5 billion of Indian exports. Exporters of spices, tea, coffee, nuts, and essential oils are likely to benefit the most. Now, China is leading a new wave of ultra-short video dramas powered entirely by artificial intelligence.
Studios are using AI to write scripts, create visuals, generate motion, and even compose music, with humans involved only in editing and voice work. This approach has made producing micro-dramas faster and more cost-effective while still attracting millions of views. Creators say AI lowers costs and speeds up production, but emphasizes that human input remains essential for realism and story impact. More in this next report. Brevity has always been a dangerous tool in the hands of a writer, but for those writing ultra-short video dramas, tight scripts isn't a virtue. It's the only currency that works. 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Plot, character, closure. Do it fast, do it well, and the algorithm might just notice you. Then again, don't bother. AI can do this just as well in half the time. In China, there's a series called Strange Mirror of Mountains and Seas. Monsters, heroes, impossible skies. Even the humans, all of it generated by AI. It's been watched over 50 million times. Chen Kun, the creator, says micro dramas are perfect targets for AI. The screens are small, the audience distracted, and the flaws, who notices when they're scrolling on the subway. Micro drama studios are now swapping actors and screenwriters for algorithms, raising the kind of alarm bells that echo across every creative industry. Chen used ChatGPT for the script, Midjourney for stills, Kling for motion, Suno for the music. Humans were retained only for editing and voice work.
It's so accessible. It lowers the cost of production so much. It makes everything so much faster.
At the Shanghai Vancouver Film School, students are already being trained to think like prompt engineers. They type ideas into Design, an AI image editor, and within moments, the screen floods with polar bears and explorers. Abadia has even built her own virtual assistant using Alibaba's Quen. In seconds, it spins out a crime plot involving a wedding photographer who didn't know he was part of the conspiracy.
100 days longer!
In Hollywood, the same argument turned into a war. AI became a flashpoint during the writers and actors strikes of 2023. This year, the launch of a digital actress named Tilly Norwood lit another match. But Chen, the Strange Mirror creator, doesn't see doom. He sees transformation. He predicts a rise in prompt engineers, a new class of artisans who don't paint or shoot, but instruct machines on what to imagine. Artists, meanwhile, are worried their work is being stolen and scraped into the data sets that feed these new digital muses. But Chen shrugs at that concern. What is original and what is merely new is not always clear. And at the end of the day, AI merely regurgitates different combinations and takes on human creativity that it's been trained on. Alright, next up, let's get you the latest from the world of entertainment, starting with rapper Cardi B, who has announced the birth of her fourth child, a son, with NFL player Stephen Diggs. The WAP